Episode 20.
It's okay to fail as long as you get back up and try again, especially with social media. You're going to fail a lot.
Welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff, where we talk about solutions, tips, and tricks for social marketers and businesses.
Well, hello and welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff. I am rocking and rolling today to bring you our featured guest, Phil Glutting. Phil, are you ready to be real?
Absolutely, Travis.
Phil is a social and digital marketer and also the owner of Your Strategic Marketing, specializing in social media management, landing pages, Facebook ads, Twitter growth, and lead generation. Phil, we've given our listeners just a little insight, but what's going on?
Hey, thanks for the introduction.
Sure.
Like I said, my name is Phil, or like you said, my name is Phil Glutting, and I'm the owner of Your Strategic Marketing. I've been doing this for about a year and a half, and I primarily started out because I had an internship doing social media marketing for a chiropractor, and I just enjoyed it so much that I said, why don't I just do this full time? I saw incredible opportunity and potential of growth as it is a new industry to get into, and so I set off to learn each one of the different platforms and come up with a strategy that I could package and sell to clients. And then I just continued to grow my Twitter account and take on new clients and continually am building my business.
Absolutely. And so you have clients from all over the United States, is that correct?
Yeah, I do. I used to have a couple of clients that were around the world. I had one in Australia, one in the Philippines area, one in the Scotland area as well.
Nice. That's awesome. So it's really a global business at some point. And where are you located right now?
Right now, I am living in a city just outside of Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Well, it's amazing with Skype now what you can do. Shout out to Skype and having an awesome conversation really clearly, and now you're able to now take your business from just out of Grand Rapids and help people from all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the coolest things about social, I think, in my business and internet businesses in general, I think, is you don't have to be everywhere. You can bring people to you. And if you offer a good service, right? I mean, and you provide value and you deliver results, people are going to keep coming back and refer friends to you. And like you have with your Twitter following, I just looked this morning, Phil is over 115,000 Twitter followers strong. And you've been doing it for how long? Can you tell us?
Yeah. So I got that amount of growth in about a year and a half.
Wow.
Really, I spent a lot of time in the beginning really focusing on my own Twitter account. It was actually kind of a coincidence that I even started on Twitter, because for a majority of the time I just stayed away from Twitter and thought it was a waste of time. But a friend of mine challenged me to check it out. And I did, and I really liked what I saw. So I spent, quite a few hours every single day just trying different tools and techniques and strategies to really find what works best. And then, of course, I packaged that into a nice little package, and I sell that to clients.
That's awesome. And so anyone can buy the package and then implement some of the strategies that you've used and grow their following.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that. I think we're just scratching the surface with all the different platforms, in my opinion. We've been doing this for, 6 years, coming up in June here, but social networking has been around, for let's just say a good 10 years, right. But we're still scratching the surface, and I think Twitter's one, like you said, it was one of the annoyances to me myself as well. And it was kind of one of those things that I just was like, well, we can't really be doing this, as a team if I don't understand it,
right.
to lead the charge and then now I'm empowered and inspired by our team members that help and, teach me things and strategies. And I'm learning all the time from actually different podcast guests and keeping in touch and different strategies. And, and like I said, we connected through Twitter on this podcast interview. So that just shows you the power of it. Two thought leaders coming together. Yep. You've built your business. I built our business out here on the West Coast. And now we can help each other at some point for the future too, beyond just the podcast. So, so now we're going to start with a Be Real story. Can you take me to a time or tell me a story about when you've maybe failed at social marketing?
Yeah, it's actually kind of a funny story. Looking back at it, I wanted to change things up on the way that I delivered a message using the tool Social Bro. They have a tool inside their program called a mention helper, where you're able to send out, hundreds of mentions to a specific group of individuals. And I wanted to change things up and move the @mention to the back of the message instead of the front of the message. And what that ended up doing was flooding the the feed line, whatever, of everyone who was on Twitter that was following me, that was online at that time. And so I got a lot of real negative feedback from that move. And a lot of people unfollowed me that were online at that time. And but I learned my lesson. That was the last time I did that. So
yeah, the cool part about, and honestly, we're as content creators and social marketers, digital marketers, we are opt to fail every day.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that the best thing is you can learn from it, and everyone's strategy is different, but when you learn from it, it's the most valuable lesson I think taught, because you really get into why you failed. Yep. And sometimes if it's automation, then you just clean that up. I feel the same way. I was seeing where, if you do 2 to 3 tweets at the same time, it's annoying to people. I mean, and so you could even spread them out 10 minutes apart and people will hardly even see it. Right. And so that's the cool part about Twitter, is things are moving so fast that, but you have to spread it out. If it's all instantaneously posting, I personally, when I see that in my own news feed, I will unhide that person or unfollow that person sometimes. It depends on, especially if it's overly, you know what I mean? So now take us now, Phil, to that Be Real moment where you feel like social marketing has changed your entire mindset to business.
For sure, man. The way that people had to market their business before was a lot of just word of mouth, or going to the big ad agencies, going on radio and newspaper, which were not, the most effective ways of creating a conversation. In fact, they can't create a conversation. It was just a one-way marketing stream to the consumers. And so social media opened up the possibility to create the conversations with consumers from the standpoint of a business, where it's much more personal and it's much more effective, in my opinion, to be able to ask consumers individually, what it is that they're looking for, using the different social media platforms and really catering to individuals instead of just marketing to the masses.
Right. Because it's a one-on-one deal. I think at the end of the day, people forget social media, it's email. The most effective, in my opinion, I always say the most effective social networking message I ever had is closing to via email. You know what I mean? Sure. Because it's personal and you're not trying to spam people. I think there's a value to automation, but I think there's also a value to it being quality interactions where people don't when people think it's authentic, we've all done it, where you send off a message that's kind of templated out, and it just doesn't get the effective response that I found when you just put a sentence that's personal, And so now I really appreciate you sharing that. Now, also on to go along with that, now take us to your most epic social marketing moment. Have you had a retweet that was just like, whoa, this is awesome. This is what it's all about for me?
Yeah, actually I have. I don't know if you're familiar with Ezra Firestone.
Oh
He's,
yeah.
the Amazon and e-commerce guru.
Yeah, absolutely.
Had received a forwarded message, email from one of my clients that said, "Hey Phil, Ezra took a screenshot of you," and
Oh wow.
so he had used a personal conversation I had with him, just thanking him for the fantastic Pinterest webinar that I watched. I am friends with him on Facebook, and so I had sent him just a brief conversation about how appreciative I was, and he took a screenshot of that and used that in his marketing message to whoever signed up for his newsletter. And so that was
Wow.
the sweetest thing that has happened to me.
Yeah, and it's all about that authenticity. If you go back to it, it's your effort to connect with him and thank him, right?
Yeah.
That spurs that. And so often we think of it as one to masses, and it's really, if you take that personalization, it goes a long way.
Absolutely.
And people will be kind of very thankful when you send a birthday message. We were talking to Jeffrey Hazlitt, and he says that he sends birthday messages every morning on LinkedIn, and I think that's just a cool thing to do.
For sure.
Because it builds value, and I started doing it myself and seeing that people think it's pretty nice for you to do that, and it doesn't take that long.
No.
It really doesn't when you think about it, and the value that it brings to people is it's kind of like that fun way of giving joy to people randomly. So I love that moment where you feel that social has completely changed your mind. And I'm sure that there's going to be more epic moments in the future.
For sure.
So now we're going to enter the mindset of Phil Glutting with some B-realisms. How about that? In the perfect world, Phil, where do you dream of living?
Well, I thought about this question, and I just know that I would like to live somewhere that doesn't experience winters. They're nice to look at, but they're terrible to drive in, and they're a heck of a lot of work to dig yourself out of.
So San Diego, I think connecting with John Lee Dumas out there in San Diego would be a good idea. Or LA has good weather.
Yeah.
We live in the Central California, so Fresno, shout out to Fresno, our homeland here, where the most of the agriculture is, 60% or so of the world's agriculture comes from our region here. But we're going through a major drought, so we need the weather,
Right.
and we wish there was a way. I always wish there's a way to divert weather. Divert a little rain this way from, unfortunately, all the stuff that's going on right now in Texas and stuff like that. You wish there was a way as an entrepreneur that you could find a way to create a pipeline or something. They're doing all this other cool stuff with the Hyperloop and crazy stuff happening here in California with a lot of developments and mass transit. But if we don't have water, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the honest truth. So now tell us, Phil, what is your next big dream?
My next big dream, probably I would like to work on developing a one solution Twitter program, working with some developers and UI and all those fun pieces to the puzzle. But basically, for Twitter, I use quite a bit of different tools, and I think it would be really beneficial to everybody, including myself, to take all the tools and put them together and have it be one solution instead of multiple solutions.
Yes, we feel the same way about reporting. So those that are listening, if you're out there thinking about programming, talk to my man Phil, because I think there's absolutely right about having a more all-inclusive solution.
Absolutely.
Just for Twitter, and then also for reporting. Those that are listening, I'm going to keep giving this a shout out, because we need someone to come up with a better solution for reporting all the different platforms of activity. So I mean, we use possibly up to 3 to 4 different platforms just to report for our clients, and then we have to do some stuff manually because of the Instagram and certain ones are not fully developed for reporting. And there's some good tools out there, but you have to kind of pull screenshots and stuff like that manually, where a company that could create those solutions where it would be all in one, I think is gonna definitely dominate here.
Absolutely.
And keep it simple too. To keep it simple based on the platform, simple based on the criteria. But I think a lot of them go too deep, and then half of the stuff you don't even use, and so you're only using it for a couple things, and it's like, well, why can't I create one that just has all of it? Right. So let me know when you create that so I can definitely check it out. I'd love to be part of the beta test on that all-in-one Twitter tool. And Twitter, if you're listening, you need to connect with my man Phil, because I think he has an idea that maybe you guys can fund it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, why not? So how do you typically like to start your day?
Absolutely. So I start my days off with breakfast made by my wife, and then she's my business partner. She works for me full time, and we just then talk about the pertinent issues of the day and what we need to get accomplished. And then I head over up to my home office, and of course on my MacBook Pro, shout out to Apple.
Yeah.
And then I just begin cranking off the different tasks on my to-do list for the day.
Yep. I like to always start with that just because everyone has a different routine. It's just always interesting to hear, how people's different strategies are in the morning. And I love that. That sounds very similar to my strategy, breakfast. I just started actually hitting a little, I used to save the gym workout routines to the end of the day. I just started hitting the 30 minutes at the gym in the morning. I just get in there, get my 3 favorite machines in. The rowing machine especially is one of my favorites, and get out. But I love being able to start your day, and I do have a home office as well. And I love it. I love being able to work from home and be able to, check in at the office too. But I like being able to have some days at the house. I find that I actually get more done here at the home office than I do sometimes at our other office, where there's a lot more going on sometimes. And so I just appreciate that. Now tell us, Phil, what would you say is one of your biggest weaknesses in social media?
Biggest weaknesses in social media, probably firing off responses too quickly without taking the time to process and filter. Especially when it's about one of my own accounts, someone reacting negatively to what I'm doing. So.
Right. Yeah, everyone that's listening, I think that's good advice too. It's always nice to have maybe a second opinion too, or just take a second and really reread it and things like that. Because sometimes I found just even the littlest spelling errors and things like that cannot be redone. Sometimes they get last forever, and people will screenshot it, especially if it's a big enough brand. So those that are listening, just take an extra second, read it. If you have someone around that can proofread, or that can be a second pair of eyeballs on a response, I always like to do that too, because hey, maybe they have something to add to this that you weren't thinking about. And I think that makes a better response sometimes, to have 2 people thinking about it than just one, all because we always have different things going on in our brain and we can't do everything at once. So now tell us, Phil, what would you say is one of your biggest strengths now on social?
Yeah, my biggest strength is going above and beyond for my clients. I really like to see every single one of my clients succeed, and so I always do as much as possible for each one of the clients, even if it means putting in extra hours or doing extra services, because I just really want to ensure that each client has a welcoming experience working with our company.
And those that are listening, I love that, because I've taken the same approach. My father's an accountant, and he always, I used to always get on. I'm like, Dad, why aren't you raising your rates? Like, other people are more expensive than you, and things like that. And he always told me, it's all about client retention and providing value for them for a long time, and not necessarily nickeling and diming them on every little thing. And like you said about maybe putting some extra hours in, I know for us, when Facebook boosted posts happened, we were kind of forced, like, do we go back to our clients and change all the retainers, or do we just make this part of our business now, or we have to put a little money of the budget? And some of it has to, we have gone back to certain clients and said, hey, this is the new kind of agenda for specifically with Facebook, and now even Twitter, because of how jumbled things are. With the little Twitter ads, you can kind of really help move things for clients. Yep. But I believe truly that, there's just such a need for people at the end of the day to take that personal approach like you're taking on a daily basis. I've seen you take that approach, and I think that's how you're authentically building your audience too.
Absolutely.
Nice. So tell us, what is some of the best advice you've ever received?
Yeah, it has to be from my dad. His advice was to always be the bigger man and to take the high road.
Nice.
I think if I followed that to a T more closely, I wouldn't be as stressed out at times and lose some sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that all entrepreneurs, that's a good one to take at the end of the day, and know that, there's, some battles you just need to let go by, and,
Sure.
and like you mentioned, take the higher road. Sometimes that means just bowing out of a deal, or that means it could be a variety of different things. It just depends on your kind of heart as an entrepreneur, but no doubt that sometimes even in personal relationship life too, you have to do that as a working entrepreneur like yourself, because it flows over to your relationship, right? I mean, I have the same situation. So sometimes you have to take that higher road and sometimes put down work to do something that's, different and better for the whole relationship. Sometimes as an entrepreneur, I think that's a struggle of all of ours.
Right.
So tell us, can you share a personal habit that you believe is leading to your success?
Yeah, it has to be perseverance and a willingness to continue to adapt. I have to be flexible and learning new tricks and tools in the marketing world to not only help my clients, but also to get new clients for further customer acquisition.
Right. Yeah, and there's so many tools out there, like you mentioned. It's almost overwhelming to really
Absolutely.
maximize all of them. Let's be real on that. I mean, too many people are like, "Oh, there's this tool," and it's like, do you know that it takes how much time it takes to learn all these things,
Right.
and then maximize them, and then they're changing, and then it's like, you really have to find the tools that work best for you, and then just be active on it every day. I feel like the biggest negative in social, in my opinion, is people that basically just pick it up and put it down when they want, and it's not something they're doing daily.
Yep.
So that they don't get the results. If you only pick up social 4 times a year or 4 times a month, hey, you're probably not going to get the results as the guy that's picking up 4 times a day.
Right.
And doing it for 10 minutes each time. That's only 40 minutes of your day.
Right.
And you can be building major business, closing major deals for your working 10 minutes 4 times a day on social.
Absolutely.
Social selling, building value, writing content, retweeting, connecting to new followers that you feel are targeted to your interests, because that's obviously important. There's a lot of people that, you can just go follow people, but if they're not targeted to your interests and what you're talking about, you're just going to get people following and then unfollowing you.
Right.
And that's a whole nother strategy, if you want to call it, because randomly people will unfollow you and you're like, what the hell what the heck did I do here?
Yep.
Well, what's going on here? I don't know why, you decided to, unfollow me, but hey, you know what? It's sometimes it's content. I found it's when I've automated things, and too many messages went out too quickly, then I was randomly seeing like close people, unfollow, and I asked them and they said it was the automation. So I was like, done, no problem, never going to do that again.
Right.
And you just learn from those. Like we were going back to our first story here, sometimes automation's awesome, but then sometimes you have to learn from it. And if it doesn't make, if you kind of do that extra focus group of contacting someone that's unfollowed you, that's a close personal friend or something like that, and they say, hey, it's because you posted like 5 posts in a row.
Right.
Then you got to realize like, oh, I got to figure this out because I want to keep those people. I don't care about some random person that just followed me. I care about the people that are close to me as well on social. I mean, that's what it's first all about, in my opinion. And then next is obviously the public that is available to pick up your content.
Right.
And that's why I still love Facebook, to be honest with you, is because I can keep a pretty closed network.
Yep.
And I prefer not to keep my posts on Facebook public. I prefer to kind of keep them private with to the people connected to me.
Right.
So it kind of keeps it personal, kind of keeps it a lot more personal. On Twitter, it's a little bit different. It's just a wild, wild west out there. There's all sorts of people from all over the world on that thing. And you don't know all their intentions,
Right.
and it's a lot of them are great intentions, but you just don't know all of them. If it's someone from another country just randomly, becoming your best friend all of a sudden, it's like, well, what are you've heard too many horror stories, unfortunately. So now we're going to take you to the hot seat where you can share some phenomenal resources and some last minute real talk answers.
Okay.
Be real, Phil.
Yeah.
If you could go and have lunch today with anyone in the world, who would it be?
I had to really think about this question because there's a lot of excellent individuals that I've thought about this question for having lunch with them.
Yeah.
But it has to be Mike Stelzner over at Social Media.
Oh, yeah. Mike's the man.
I used him heavily, listened to his podcast every day when I was getting started, and I just really appreciated his candidness and just his ability to be real with all the things that he talked about, and just the strategies he shared were no bull, and there wasn't any gimmicks or he was trying to sell stuff. I really enjoyed having to listen to him.
Yeah, Social Media Examiner is a great resource for anyone listening to this podcast. Michael Stelzner has been doing this for as long as I've been in business, and I connected with him early on Twitter. And he was just always awesome. When I'd share his content, he would reply with something a little simple. Obviously he's busy.
Right.
But you just felt like he cares about his community, which is awesome. Unfortunately, I think that's the failure of a lot of huge celebrities like the Justin Bieber's, if you want to say it, or the Lady Gaga's. Unfortunately, she has no time to respond to all these people that are talking to her. So I think that the cool part about authenticity on social is when you got a guy like Michael, who's really a thought leader in a huge, industry that we're creating here together, everyone, is he's providing some awesome resources on a daily basis. Absolutely. And it's very helpful, great stuff. And they're even doing more with video and helping people with, just little tips and tricks. And we're in a learning phase for everyone, and no one knows it all. Yeah. And it's such an art form, in my opinion, just like a painter, that there's no right post, there's no right post. There's no right time to post. Maybe there is certain right times for your audience, and you can do some studies, but there's also, you could just put out some random post and it goes viral, and no reason why, just because you just decided to curate awesome content like the Super Bowl related stuff, when you got all the different examples of businesses kind of going viral around, stuff that happens in events and stuff like that. Cause they acted quickly and they created content, but there's no really reason, and you could spend 5 days or 5 million, hours on a great content, and then it has no reach, and it doesn't get out there, and you're like frustrated, and then you could just randomly post some cat picture, some cat picture with your brand, and it goes epic viral. And I always tell people, and I think this is a good strategy for everyone in social marketing, on 1 day a week, just have some fun. Create a 1 day a week that's related to your topic, and curate fun content that has nothing to do with your brand. Right. And you'll see that that's your most viral content. We have a page called Funny Cats on Facebook, and we don't do any boosted posts. And our cat posts go viral every time, and with hundreds of shares and lots of people tagging in the comments, and the page has grown organically to over 20,000 followers in the last year. Wow. With all the, downside of reach and all this stuff that you say about, Facebook, and we don't boost anything. We've never paid for a page like post. It's just because it's the content and it's fun that people share it, especially on Facebook or retweet on Twitter, that, so 1 day a week, just have some fun. You know what I mean? It's actually kind of cool to do. And we see with all our different clients that those are the posts that go viral. Those are the ones that get all the shares, and we don't even have to boost them. Unfortunately, on Facebook, as you know, with the Facebook ads, a lot of them we can't even boost because they're a quote or there's something funny. And so we can't even boost it if we wanted to. It just goes viral on its own, which is the coolest part. But it's just taking that intention off that day and making it all about just the community.
Sure.
So now, do you have a favorite internet tool or app that you can share with us, like a Buffer, Hootsuite, that you like to use on a daily basis?
Yeah. My newly acquired best tool is over at manageflitter.com.
Oh, yeah. I've heard good things about this.
Yeah, I've been using it on my newest client, and I've seen incredible results, primarily because of the different filters that you can apply to your searches to find quality people to follow.
Right.
And I've just seen ridiculously good results with it.
Yeah, whoever's created that one, that's a good tool. I've heard multiple Twitter-specific, focused social marketers that really just love that tool, as well as the Crowdfire app. I've heard.
Crowd.
You don't like that one? Well, everyone has their different strategies. I definitely agree. I've heard good things about the new managed Flitter. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it's 10 to 1 in improvement over Crowdfire.
Gotcha. Well, you know what? You're in it. You got 115,000 followers. So we all needed to be taking some tips.
Sure.
And Managed Flitter, you guys need to be hooking my man up with maybe some evangelist kind of money here for maybe something that in the future he could be working there, or, just evangelizing their brand, like kind of like a Guy Kawasaki for Canva.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. So tell us, can you share one book or audio or a physical book that you can, share with our listeners that you like to read?
Yeah, it has to be right along the lines of what we've been talking about this entire time. The Jab, 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 Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Gary Vee is the man. That's one of the ones, if I could have lunch with anyone right now, I'd like him and Elon. I'd like to get the two of them together and see what things they're talking about.
Sure.
It would be interesting. Yeah, I think that's a great book. And I love all the content that Gary Vee is doing. I think he's living it. He's been living the social media brand. And I think all of us in social marketing should aspire to, feel what he's saying, his message.
Yep.
And if you have any time in your day to, watch his show, check out his thoughts, because I think his thoughts can help your strategy. And I've seen it happen in ours, when he's shared some of his thoughts early on, even it's amazing that they can really change your strategy and really for the most effective way. So shout out to Gary Vee.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now tell us, Phil, do you have a skill that you want to master in the future?
Well, a skill that I would be good for me to learn would definitely be search engine optimization, because it's so expensive to outsource.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's one. And the crazy thing about SEO, and I love SEO, I think it's a value. I do believe that the content on your web page is more valuable than just SEO on itself.
Correct.
Because of what we've seen with all the different releases of updates on like Google search, for instance. You know what I mean? They do a new Panda search. I remember that was a huge one. And you have people scrambling. You've spent $30,000, $100,000,
right.
even outsourcing, and things all changed and you're back to zero,
right.
And so I like the strategy, and shout out to Google AdWords. Hey, create a nice little Google AdWords budget for yourself, that makes sense, that you can do on an ongoing basis. And get that going. You can also do video ads on YouTube for pretty inexpensive, hyper targeted to your interest. I think the combination of those are powerful, because then you're playing with Google, and so that doesn't change. You know what I mean? It's like, well, my ad placement doesn't change. I can see where I'm placed against my competitors, and if I need to raise my cost per click or whatever. And I'm not saying that's the best solution for everybody. And I do believe in SEO, but with the changes on Google and et cetera, you just don't have any control, unfortunately.
Right.
But if you got awesome content going, and then you're maybe advertising that content, or you're, kind of getting people back to your, web page based on Google ads, that is a strategy I think works for a long-term period, because the content on your page, on your web page, if it's valuable, people could come 5 years from now and it still could be of value. You know what I mean? And where your SEO strategy might be, we might be 10 updates from now, and you might still have to be paying $3,000 a month.
Right.
For the guy to supposedly, years ago was going to just get you on the homepage and it was never going to change. But I definitely agree that knowing the meta keywords and all the different Intuit parts of SEO is super valuable. And it's a lot of it is, just redundant tasks, unfortunately. So, so now tell us, Phil, if you could develop any new business in the world, what would it be?
It goes right along with the earlier question about the Twitter software.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Keep plugging it. I love the idea. I do.
The Twitter software. I mean, there's the different tools I use. In one day, I use Managed Flitter, Social Bro, Tweet Adder, Follow Liker. And that's just for like growth. That's not anything to do with reporting. Then there's Sprout Social for reporting, and it's all these tools. And then there's a cost per month for each one of them that I have to incur. And, I'm sure each one of the people, when they created their software, they said, "Yeah, this is it." But I feel like there needs to be multiple like the reporting and the growth and all that stuff inside of one tool, which Managed Flitter has come a long ways in doing that. But I feel like it's still not 100% there.
And you're still using other tools too,
Exactly.
right? So you're still using Sprout and other things. So it's like I said about the reporting, it's the same thing. It's like, whoa, we're still using all these different cool tools. Nuvi is another really cool one for high-end analytics. But it's like, hey, you still have to manage it all,
Right.
and all of them are kind of doing different things, and it's not one that just is comprehensive. So, and also the other thing I'd say, and this is the last point I would put it is, hey, this is if a long-term strategy. Don't start trying to charge me for every nickel and dime on my accounts. You know what I mean? Like, come on, guys, come up with unlimited accounts, man.
Right.
Like, come up with unlimited. It can't be that much, like let's not try to do it. Limit me per 50 accounts. And then now I'm limiting myself. And now we have like 3 or 4 different Sprout Social accounts. It's like, holy moly, like, create a better process. And I love Sprout Social and give them a shout out. But there's got to be something a little bit more comprehensive for people like us that are scaling our businesses.
Right.
And we just need a good partner that can count on us. That's why I do like Nuvi, because they have kind of a solution that we can add multiple clients to, and they don't charge us per client. It's about how many mentions you're using.
Right.
So I like that, where they're just kind of more comprehensive and catering to us that are building business for them. You know what I mean? You got guys like us that you're scaling your business fast for yourself, but also, the next 5 years for you is going to be insane. You're going to probably be over 1 million Twitter followers, and you're going to be, your influence is going to be, a lot more powerful, obviously. And you're probably going to have half these brands wishing that they would have gotten connected with you now. So take a listen to my man, because I think that's the power of social. It's just the beginning. And those that are already way ahead now are going to be way, way ahead in 10 years. So now tell us, can you give us one last real talk thought? And then also, how can our listeners get a hold of you?
Absolutely, Travis. So a thing to always remember, actually a couple of things to always remember is, it's okay to fail. As long as you get back up and try again, especially with social media, you're going to fail a lot. And I recommend failing on your own accounts and not on clients' accounts.
Yes.
But just continue to try and try and try. And then another one is always be learning and always be bettering yourself. Each and every day, try to begin developing a new skill set and continually be staying up to date on the latest information for your particular field. It's going to make you deadly and dangerous. It's
nice. I like that.
Yeah. It's the people that sit back on their haunches and say, well, I've mastered this skill, and their strategy becomes outdated within 3 to 6 months. Social is just changing way too much to be sitting on your laurels thinking that you master anything, because there's new tools coming out every single week. And strategies continually change with algorithm updates, and it's just, you always got to be learning, always got to be staying connected, and then you become unstoppable.
Nice. And so also, how can our listeners get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So my Twitter handle is at PHILGLUTTING. You can reach out to me through email, phil@gostrategicmarketing.com. And I'll be happy to chat with anybody.
Well, you've been hanging out with Phil Glutting and Travis Too Tall and Huff. I want to thank you for your time, and keep being real.
This podcast is proudly sponsored by realtimeoutsource.com.